Manuscript found in Accra by Paulo Coelho, chapters 8 and 9. And a young man who would have lived that night said, I was never sure which direction to take. And he answered, like the sun, life spreads its light in all directions. When we were born, we want everything at once and we cannot control the energy we have been given. But if we want to make fire, we have to focus all the sun's rays in one spot. And the great secret that the divine energy revealed to the world was fire. Not just fire for burning, but the fire that transforms wheat into bread. And there comes a moment when we need to focus that inner fire so that our life will have some meaning. Then we ask the heavens, but what meaning? Some immediately brush this question aside. It's bothersome, it won't let you sleep, and there's no easy answer. They are the ones who, later on, will leave tomorrow as if it were yesterday. And when the unwanted visitor arrives, they will say, my life was too short, I squandered my blessing. Others embrace the question, but since they do know the answer, they start to read what was written by those who have already faced up to the challenge. And suddenly, they find an answer which they judge to be correct. When that happens, they become the slaves of that answer. They draw up laws intended to force others to accept what they believe to be the sole reason for existence. They build temples to justify it, and courts for those who reject what they consider to be the absolute truth. Finally, there are those who saw at once that the question was a trap. There is no answer. Instead of wasting time grappling with that trap, they decide to act. They go back to their childhood and look for what filled them with enthusiasm then, and disregard the advice of their elders. Devote their life to it. Because enthusiasm is the sacred fire, they slowly discover that their actions are linked to a mysterious impulse beyond human knowledge. And they bow their heads as a sign of respect for that mystery, and pray that they will not be diverted from the path they do not know, a path which they have chosen to travel because of the flame burning in their hearts. They use their intuition when they can resort to discipline, when intuition fails them. They seem quite mad, and sometimes they behave like mad people, but they are not mad. They have discovered true love and will. And those two things reveal the goal and the direction that they should follow. Their will is crystalline, their love is pure, and steps determined. In moments of doubts or sadness, they never forget, I am an instrument. Allow me to be an instrument capable of manifesting your will. They have chosen the road, and they may understand what their goal is only when they find themselves before the unwanted visitor. That is the beauty of a person who continues onward with enthusiasm and respect for the mystery of life as his only guide. His road is beautiful, and his burden light. The goal can be large or small. It can be far away or right next door. He goes in search of it with respect and honor. He knows what each step means and how much it costs in effort, training, and intuition. He focuses not just on goal to be reached, but on everything happening around him. He often has to stop because his strength fails him. At such moment, love appears and says, you think you're heading towards a specific point, but the whole justification for the goal's existence lies in your love for it. Rest a little, but as soon as you can, get up and carry on. Because ever since your goal found out that you were traveling toward it, it has been running to meet you. Those who ignore the question, those who answer it, and those who understand that the only way to confront it is to take action, will all meet the same obstacles and be made happy by the same things. But only the person who accepts God's plan with humility and courage knows that he is on the right road. End of chapter 8. Chapter 9. And a woman who was getting on in years and has never found a husband said, "Love has always passed me by." And he answered, "In order to hear love's words, you must allow love to approach. However, when it does draw near, we fear what it might say to us, because love is free and is not ruled by our will or by what we do." All lovers know this, but refuse to accept it. They think they can seduce love through submission, power, beauty, wealth, tears, and smiles. True love, however, is the love that seduces and will never allow itself to be seduced. Love transforms, love heals, but sometimes it lays deadly traps and ends up destroying the person who decided to surrender himself completely. How can the force that moves the world and keeps the stars in their places be at once so creative and so devastating? We are used to thinking that what we give is the same as what we receive, but people who love expecting to be loved in return are wasting their time. Love is an act of faith, not an exchange. Contradictions are what make love grow. Conflicts are what allow love to remain by our side. Life is too short for us to keep important words like "I love you" locked in our hearts. But do not always expect to hear the same words back. We love because we need to love. Otherwise, love loses all meaning and sun ceases to shine. A rose dreams of enjoying the company of bees, but none appears. The sun asks, "Aren't you tired of waiting?" "Yes," answers the rose, "but if I close my petals I will wither and die." And yet, even when love does not appear, we remain open to its presence. Sometimes, when loneliness seems about to crush everything, the only way to resist is to keep on loving. Our great goal in life is to love. The rest is silence. We need to love, even when it leads us to the land where the lakes are made of tears, that secret, mysterious place, the land of tears. Tears speak for themselves, and when we feel that we have cried all we needed to cry, they still continue to flow. And just when we believe that our life is destined to be a long walk through the valley of sorrows, the tears suddenly vanish. Because we managed to keep our heart open despite the pain, because we realized that the person who left us did not take the sun with them or leave darkness in their place. They simply left, and with every farewell comes a hidden hope. It is better to have loved and lost than never have loved at all. Our one true choice is to plunge into the mystery of that uncontrollable force. We could say, "I've suffered greatly before, and I know that this won't last either," and thus drive love from our door. But if we did that, we would become dead to life. Because nature is a manifestation of the love of God. Regardless of what we do, nature continues to love us. Let us therefore respect and understand what nature teaches us. We love because love sets us free, and we say things that we once never even had the courage to whisper to ourselves. We make a decision that we kept putting off. We learn to say no without thinking of what words is somehow cursed. We learn to say yes without fearing the consequences. We forget everything. We were taught about love because each encounter is different and brings its own agonies and ecstasies. We sing more loudly when the person who love is far away and whisper poems when he is near, even if he doesn't listen or pays attention to either songs or whispers. We won't close our eyes to the universe and then complain, "It's dark." We keep our eyes wide open, knowing that the light would lead us to understand the thing, knowing that the light would lead us to do undreamed of things. That is all part of love. Our heart is open to love and we surrender to it without fear because we have nothing more to lose. Then when we go home, we discover that someone was there waiting for us, looking for the same thing and experiencing the same anxieties and longings. Because love is like the water that is transformed into a cloud. It's lifted up into the heavens where it can see everything from a distance, aware that one day it will have to return to earth. Because love is like the cloud that is transformed into rain. It is drawn down to the earth where it waters the field. Love is only a word until we decide to let it possess us with all its force. Love is only a word until someone arrives to give it meaning. Don't give up. Remember, it's always the last key on the key ring that opens the door. End of chapter 9. Manuscript found in Accra by Paulo Coelho. Chapters 10 and 11. This is a re-record. However, one young man disagreed. Your words are beautiful, but the truth is that we never have much choice. Life and our community have already taken charge of planning our fate. An old man added, and I can go back and recover lost moments. And he answered, what I am about to say may be of no use on the eve of an invasion. Nevertheless, take note of my words, so that one day everyone may know how we lived in Jerusalem. After thinking a little, the Copt went on. No one can go back, but everyone can go forward. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, all you have to say to yourselves is, I am going to think of this day as the first day of my life. I will look on the members of my family with surprise and amazement, glad to discover that they are by my side, silently sharing that much talked about but little understood thing called love. I will ask to join the first camel train that appears on the horizon, without asking where it is going, and I will leave it as soon as something more interesting catches my eye. I will pass a beggar who will ask me for money. I might give it to him, or I might walk past him, thinking that he will only spend it on a drink. As I do, I will hear his insults and understand that it is simply his way of communicating with me. I will pass someone trying to destroy a bridge. I might try to stop him, or I might realize that he is doing it because he has no one waiting for him on the other side. This is his way of trying to fend off his own loneliness. I will look at everything and everyone as if for the first time, especially the small things that I have grown used to, quite forgetting the magic surrounding them. The desert suns, for example, which are moved by an energy I cannot understand, because I cannot see the wind. Instead of noting down things I am unlikely to forget on a piece of parchment I will always carry with me, I will write a poem. Even if I have never written one before, and even if I never do so again, I will at least know that I once had the courage to put my feelings into words. When I reach a small village that I know well, I will enter it by the different route. I will be smiling, and the inhabitants will say to no one, will say to one another, he must be mad, because war and destruction have left the soil barren. But I will keep smiling, because it pleases me to know that they think I am mad. My smile is my way of saying, You can destroy my body, but not my soul. Tonight, before leaving, I am going to spend time sorting through the pile of things I never had the patience to put in order. And I will find that a little of my history is there. All the letters, the notes, the cuttings, and receipts will take me on their own time, will take on their own life and have strange stories to tell me about the past and about the future. All the different things in the world, all the roads traveled, all the entrances and exits of my life. I am going to put on a shirt I often wear, and for the first time, I am going to notice how it was made. I am going to imagine the hands that wove the cotton and rivers where the fibers of the plants were born. I will understand that all those now invisible things are part of the history of my shirt. And even the things I am accustomed to, like the sandals which after long use have become an extension of my feet, I will be clothed in the mystery of discovery. Since I am heading off into the future, I will be helped by the scuff marks left on my sandals from when I stumbled in the past. May everything my hand touches and my eyes see and my mouth tastes be different, but the same. That way all those things will cease to be still and instead will explain to me why they have been with me for such a long time. They will reveal to me the miracle of re-encountering emotions worn smooth by routine. I will drink some tea that I have never tried because others told me it tasted horrible. I will walk down the street I have never walked down before because others told me it was totally without interest. And I will find out whether or not I would like to be back there. If it's sunny tomorrow, I want to look at the sun properly for the first time. If it's cloudy, I want to watch and see in which direction the clouds are going. I always think that I don't have time or that I don't pay attention. Tomorrow, though, I will concentrate on the direction taken by the clouds or on the sun's rays and the shadows they create. Above my head exists a sky about which all humanity over thousands of years have woven a series of reasonable explanations. Well, I will forget everything I learned about the stars, and they will be transformed once more into angels or children of whatever I feel like believing at that moment. Time and life have given me plenty of logical explanations for everything, but my soul feeds on mysteries. I need mystery. I need to see the voice of an angry God in a rumble of thunder, even though many of you here might consider that heresy. I want to fill my life with fantasy again, because an angry God is far stranger, far more frightening, and far more interesting than a phenomenon explained by the sages. For the first time, I will smile without feeling guilty, because joy is not a sin. For the first time, I will avoid anything that makes me suffer, because suffering is not a virtue. I will not complain about life saying, everything's always the same and I can do nothing to change it, because I am living this day as if it were my first, and while it lasts, I will discover things that I did not even know were there. Even though I have walked past the same places countless times before and said good morning to the same people, today's good morning will be different. It will not be a mere polite formula. It will be a form of blessing in the hope that everyone I speak to will understand the importance of being alive, even when tragedy is threatening to engulf us. I will pay attention to the words of the song that the minstrels is singing in the street, even though others are not listening because their souls are heavy with fear. The music says, love rules, but no one knows where it has its throne. In order to know that secret place, you must submit first to love. And I will have the courage to open the door to the sanctuary that leads to my soul. May I look at myself as if there were the first time I had ever been in contact with my own body and my own soul. May I be capable of accepting myself as I am, a person who walks and feels and talks like anyone else, but who, despite his faults, is also brave. May I be amazed by my simplest gestures as though I were talking to a stranger, by my most ordinary emotions, as though I were feeling the sun touching my face when the wind blows in from Baghdad, by the most tender of moments, as when I watch my life slipping by my side and try to imagine what she is dreaming. And if I am alone in bed, I will go over to the window, looking up at the sky, and feel certain that loneliness is a lie, because the universe is there to keep me company. And then I will have lived each hour of my day as if it were a constant surprise to me. To this, I, who was not created by my father or my mother or by school, but by everything I have experienced up until now, which I suddenly forgot in order to discover it all anew. And even if this is to be my last day on earth, I will enjoy it to the fullest, because I will live it with the innocence of a child, as if I were doing everything for the first time. End of chapter 10. I hope this is really chapter 10. Now let's go to chapter 11. And the wife of a trader said, "Speak to us about sex." And he answered, "Men and women whisper to each other because they have turned a sacred gesture into a sinful act." Ooh. This is the world in which we live. And while robbing the present moment of its reality can be dangerous, disobedience can also be a virtue when we know how to use it. If two bodies merely join together, that is not sex, it is merely pleasure. Sex goes far beyond pleasure. In sex, relaxation and tension go hand in hand, as do pain and pleasure and shyness and the courage to go beyond one's limit. How can such opposing states exist in harmony together? There is only one way, by surrendering yourself, because the act of surrender means I trust you. It isn't enough to imagine everything that might happen if we allowed ourselves not just by our bodies, but our souls as well. Let us plunge together and down the dangerous path of surrender. It may be dangerous, but it is the only path worth following. And even if this causes major changes in our world, we have nothing to lose, because by opening the door that unites body and soul, what we gain is total love. Let us forget all that we taught about how it is noble to give and humiliating to receive. For most people, generosity consists only in giving, and yet receiving is also an act of love. Allowing someone to make us happy will make them happy too. When we are too generous in the sexual act, and our main preoccupation is our partner's pleasure, our own pleasure can be diminished or even destroyed. When we are capable of giving and receiving with the same intensity, our body becomes as tense as the string of a bow, but our mind relaxes like the arrow about to be fired. Our brain is no longer in charge. Instinct is our only guide. When body and soul meet, the divine energy fills not only those parts of the most people consider to be erotic, but also every hair and every inch of skin, giving off a light of a different color. Two rivers meet to become a more beautiful, more powerful river. Everything that is spiritual manifests itself in visible form. and everything that is visible is transformed into spiritual energy. Everything is permitted, and everything is accepted. Sometimes love grows tired of speaking softly. Therefore, it reveals itself in all its splendor, burning like the sun and destroying the whole forests with its winds. If one of the lovers surrenders completely, then the other will do the same, because embarrassment will have become curiosity, and curiosity leads us to explore all the things we did not know about ourselves. See sex as a gift, a ritual of transformation, and as in any ritual, ecstasy will be present to glorify the end, but it is not the sole objective. What matters is that we have traveled a road with our partner that led us into the unknown territory, where we encountered gold and incense and myrrh. Give the sacred its full sacred meaning, and should moments of doubt arise, always remember we are not alone at such moments. Both parties are feeling the same thing. Fearlessly open the secret box of your fantasies. One person's courage will help the other person to be equally brave. True lovers will be able to enter the garden of beauty without fear of being judged. They will no longer be two bodies and two souls meeting, but a single fountain out of which pours a true water of life. The stars will contemplate the lovers' naked bodies, and the lovers will feel no shame. The birds will fly close by, and the lovers will imitate the songs of the birds. Wild animals will approach cautiously, because what they are seeing is far wilder than they are, and they will bow their heads as a sign of respect and submission, and time will cease to exist, because in the land of pleasure, born of true love, everything is infinite. End of chapter 11. Chapter 12 tomorrow.